Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I hope that you're doing well. Recently, I got sent in PR the reformulated eyeshadow palettes from Ace Beauté. If you've been with my channel for a long time, I bought a bunch of these palettes myself and I just really didn't love the formula, but I always love the color stories. So when they came out with the reformulated version and asked me to try them, I was just extremely excited because I think that the palettes are beautiful. The problem was never the color stories. So I did a video already that I'll link in the cards for you right here using the Blossom Passion palette, and I used the old formula on one side and the new formula on the other so you could really see the difference and the comparison. But I wanted to test all of the palettes out a lot more than that. So in that video, there's also comparison swatches. But today I went ahead and did 5 different looks using 5 different palettes from Ace Beauté just so we could see the new formula in action a little bit more. So in this video, there's a look with the Paradise Fallen, the Slice of Paradise, which is what I have on today, the Classical Paradise, Flair palette, and also the Oceanic palette. I'm going to be giving you guys my full thoughts on the reformulation at the very end of the video, but for now, if you want to see all the looks that I did, because not to toot my own horn, but I think they're all pretty beautiful, then let's jump on in. Okay guys, so jumping into day one, starting off with the Paradise Fallen palette. Today, I kind of want to do like a smoky eye, but it still be kind of simple and very everyday at the same time. So I'm going to start off with this light gray right here called Pure. And I'm just going to start that off through my crease as my transition shade. It's definitely pretty light, but it's a light shade to begin with. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take the gray right here called Stone. Taking it on a slightly smaller fluffy brush, I'm going to start that off in my outer V. Definitely pretty pigmented. Just keeping most of the product there, and then whatever's left over I'll bring into my crease just a little bit. Then I was thinking, just to make this look a little bit more fun, I'm gonna go into a touch of the shade Eve, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of that shade to my outer V. Definitely very pigmented, but I'm kind of shearing it out on purpose and just adding that in for like a touch of purple, but minimal, a minimal touch of purple. Although I might do more of a pop of purple on the lower lash line, that could be fun. So I like how that's looking. I'm gonna grab that same shade and just pop that on the outer third of the lower lash line. I'm gonna go into the shade Twilight, and I'm gonna pop that on the front of the lower lash line, just filling in the rest. I'm also gonna take a touch of the Silver Moon Glow from my lower lash line and just throw that right here. I am picking up Moon Glow with my finger and just gonna pop that all over my lid and just kind of blending it into the outer V. Just a very casual picking my child up from preschool look, am I right? Just to grab a highlighting shade, I am gonna go into the Cindy Grace Enduring Love palette and just grab Romeo for my inner corner. Just wanted to add something kind of soft onto the inner corner, and I feel like this cool tone pink matches perfectly. While we're here, I'm also gonna add Romeo to my face as my highlighter today. Really quickly, I'm gonna do some liner and some mascara off camera, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna finish off with the Fenty Beauty Sweet Mouth Gloss Bomb. And this is the first look complete with the Paradise Fallen palette. I know it's probably one of the softer looks you could do with that palette, but I really like how it turned out. Everything blended really nice. Pigmentation was there. The metallic looks really, really pretty all over the lid. So I am happy with the look. Now let's go ahead and jump on into day 2. So today we are playing with the Classical Paradise palette. And I feel like, I mean, if y'all know me at all, you already know what tones are pulling towards me in this palette, but I'm going to try and play with as much as I can. I think I'm going to start off with this shade, this yellow right here called Maze. I'm going to go ahead and just throw the yellow through my crease. I mean, I feel like that looks decently pigmented to start off with, but it's nothing like shocking. Just going with a little bit more and blending upwards. Then going with one more layer, just because I know once I go in with a bunch of colors over this, I am going to lose the yellow a little bit, so I want to build it up. But then again, for how good it's showing up, I am using a pretty big fluffy brush, which does tend to shear out colors a little bit. Now, surprise, surprise, I'm going to go into the shade Golden Apple, and I'm going to put that quite heavily through my entire crease. I really want this shade to just be a whole moment. I mean, it's just such a pretty tone. I feel like I forgot to speak, but this shade is absolutely beautiful. Next, I'm gonna go into the most neutral brown, this shade right here called Earth. It's still pretty warm, but we're just gonna try it on the outer V and see how it goes. It might get a little muddy. Just kind of blend it in a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously turning brown. I do really love the way that this color story looks all together, but I wish that one, like between this red and this like brownie red, that one of them had been not so red to go with the green. All right, I'm picking a touch of Earth up on a pencil brush and just connecting the outer V to the lower lash line. You can see just how red that shade is. I think next I'm gonna go into the shade Soil. Just pop that a little bit further over. Grab a touch of the shade Clay. Just putting that pretty much on the center of my lower lash line. Yeah, Clay and Soil are very similar. Now I'm gonna go into the shade Vegetation and use that for the rest of my lower lash line. This look doesn't go with my shirt at all. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and take the shade Barley. Just gonna pop that on my inner corner. It's super pretty. Definitely living for the shine on that one. All right, now for my lid, I think I'm gonna start off with this Shimmer Sunflower. Trying it on a dry brush to see how it goes, instead of using my finger. I mean, it actually looks pretty decent. Gonna go in with a little bit more. I feel like I should go in with one more shimmer on my outer V, or like connecting my lid, like just something right here. But I'm kind of torn. Maybe I should go in with a little bit of Harvest. Kind of just keep playing up the warm and the cool tones and the grunginess and whatnot. It's kind of giving me like unique fall vibes. So as you could probably see, I got a little bit of fallout using the shimmers with a brush on my lid, but overall it wasn't that bad. It wiped away pretty easily. I think that looks really pretty. Gonna go off camera, finish up my mascara and everything real quick, and I'll be right back. So I obviously changed my shirt real quick just to match a little bit better, and then I also used the Linda Hallberg Likeable Mood pencil in my waterline just to add that little extra emphasis of orange. For highlight today, I thought I would go in with the Lisa Eldridge Crystal Nebula highlighter. I used this as like part of like a Shop My Stash wish list video recently. It should already be live on my channel, and I just want to use it more. So that's why I'm using this today. I feel like the golden tones will go with what's happening on my face. I'm actually putting this over a ton of powder as well, and it still looks beautiful. Like I have powder bronzer, I have just regular face powder, I have powder highlight on. So that actually looks really pretty. Not sure how I'm gonna feel about this, but I pulled out the Linda Hallberg Famous lipstick. I have not reached for this in a while, but it's more of like a grungy kind of brownie nude, and I thought maybe it would look cute with this look. Not to toot my own horn, but I absolutely love how this look turned out. I feel like it actually perfectly captures the essence of this palette. Like I feel like the color story is just shown really well in this look, even though when I was starting off I thought I was going to do something a little bit more simple and kind of stick to these tones right here, which you could absolutely do. I feel like you could go in with these two shades, throw this all over the lid, and throw this on the inner corner and just do like a very simple grungy look. But I don't know, I really like how it turned out. It's giving me all the fall vibes, which I've kind of always thought about this palette, but seeing it in action and seeing everything blend so well and just formula change is making me really happy right now. That's all I can say. So let's go ahead and jump on into the third look. Today we are going to be playing with the Flair palette, and I'm a little overwhelmed because this color story is so beautiful. This is the one palette that they sent that I have never used before, so I'm just like, oh, I don't even know what direction to go because everything is so pretty in here. And I'm thinking maybe if I really like this formula that I can do like a separate 2 looks video or something to show a little bit more of the versatility. But I think today I have like a plan of like something kind of like a neutral with a pop kind of going on. I'm not sure. I'm gonna start off with this shade right here called Mulberry. You see my nail? I just did them and they're like all perfect, and then that one flaked off this morning and I was so sad. But anyways, like I said, just taking Mulberry, and I'm gonna start that off through my crease. I feel like that actually looks a lot darker on my eye than it looks in the pan. Like it looks like a really pretty mauve. Just slightly blending that upwards. I think I'm gonna go into this shade right here called Acorn, and I'm gonna put that on my outer V. Just lightly blending that. Honestly, not being that precise with it. Just wanting to add some of that cool tone depth. I feel like this is a really good brown to pull together the purples and the greens that are in this palette. I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but I'm gonna grab just a touch of the shade Aubergine, and I'm gonna pop that on the outer V. Let me see, just kind of layering it over top to make it a little bit more of a purple look. And then just whatever's left over throwing in the crease. I mean, I think that looks perfect for like a very neutral look, but I was wanting to just make it a touch more purple. I feel like that shade blended so well for just like throwing over everything. I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of that brown Acorn and just throw it on the lower lash line, connecting. It's like the outer third. I'm kind of undecided right now. Part of me wants to like keep this very monochromatic and like go in with the purple on the lower lash line and just, I don't know. I really like the tone of the look, but then also part of me is like, let's go in with some blue, some green, like really see what this palette is about. I think I'm gonna finish up the lid and then I'll see how I feel about the lower lash line. I'm gonna start off with this shade Biscotti, which looks so pretty. Just throw that on the inner corner. Again, what a good shade to go with this like color story, because it's like a golden greeny reflect, but then it also has like a little bit of a purple base, like in the softest way possible, but I feel like it would just go really well either way. I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and take just a touch of Biscotti and put that on the inner part of my lid as well. I just can't help myself. I'm gonna go into the shade Bayberry. These all feel super, super creamy. Like they feel slightly different than the other palettes, like a little bit less thick. I'm gonna pop that on the center of my lid. I don't know that this goes, but I just kind of wanted to use this blue. To finish it off, I'll go into a touch of Mirage. Ooh, that looks so pretty. That actually reminds me of ACI 13 from Adept Cosmetics. It's like a cranberry shimmer. Just popping that on the outer V. I thought that was gonna be more pink, but it looks very red. Going back in with a touch more Bayberry. We've already gone this colorful, may as well finish off the lower lash line with something fun. I'm gonna go into this shade right here called Forest Pine. Just gonna throw that on the center of the lower lash line. And then I think I'm gonna go into a touch more of Bayberry and use that on the lower lash line as well. I'm gonna throw on some black liner, some mascara, and I'll be right back. I love how this look is like so colorful. Like I used a lot of different colors, but also so soft at the same time. I wasn't expecting it, but I think this might be my favorite look yet. I'm gonna go ahead and do some highlighter now. I pulled out the Pixie Delicate Dew highlighter. I haven't used this in forever, but I'm gonna take the lighter pinkier side and just throw that on my cheekbones. I feel like this is kind of like a pinky mauve-y kind of highlight, and that it would go along with what's happening on my eyes. And then I'm gonna finish up the lips with the Sigma Renew Lip Oil in the shade All Heart. Again, this mauve tone, I feel like will just go perfect. So this is the finished look with the Flair palette. I mean, I definitely feel like I need to play with this palette so much more. Like there's so many grungy green shades, like I have to do a full look with that next. But for the time being, I'm very, very happy with how this look turned out. Now let's jump on into day 4. Okay, so going into the Slice of Paradise palette, I'm gonna start off with this yellow right here called Daffodil. Daffodil, I feel like I said that weird. So I'm just gonna start that shade off on my inner corner, just by really packing it on and then just bringing it up a little bit. I have an idea for like a really fun kind of contrasting look. So we'll see how it goes. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and take this purple right here called Starling, and I'm just gonna throw that. Ooh, okay, that pulled so much more pink than I was expecting, but it's so pigmented. I'm just gonna put that through my entire crease and then just start blending upwards. I'm being very careful right here. I will blend that area in a moment, but I'm gonna wait until I have almost all the product off of my brush because I want it to not be choppy, but also I don't want it to turn orange between the pink and the yellow. Like I want them to kind of keep their own. So I'm just gonna blend really, really lightly right here. Cannot believe how pigmented that shade is. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go into this purple right here called Honeyberry, and I'm gonna pop that on the outer V, just to add a little bit more of a purple tone to the look and add a little bit of depth. But I mean, overall, this palette, if I'm being honest, is probably my least favorite of anything Ace Beauté has done, and it has nothing to do with the quality. It's just the fact that it's like a very standard rainbow palette. There's a shimmery purple and a shimmery green, and I feel like that's just kind of a little bit limiting. So it's not like my favorite because all their other color stories are just so much more unique. Just going back over that with my previous brush, just making sure it's nice and soft. Totally just accidentally dropped my brush in this shade, so it looks funny, but I'm gonna take Peacock now, and I'm gonna pop that along the rest of the lower lash line, kind of starting where the yellow ends. I'm actually gonna go in with a bit more of the yellow just to brighten it up a little bit. I'm also taking a touch of Honeyberry, the deepest purple we went in with, and popping that along the lower lash line too. I feel like I'm actually so torn on what to do with the lid. Part of me is like I could bring the yellow up more. Maybe I could add some more pink here. Maybe I'll just do that so that I'm not pulling into another palette. I'm gonna go ahead and go into some more of Starling. Putting that on the center of the lid. So pigmented. It's actually really good for an all matte eye, like going all over the lid. You literally only need one layer, and I'm using a fluffy brush and it still just looks so good. And then lastly, very carefully, I'm gonna go in with a touch more of Daffodil. I'm gonna throw on some purple liner, throw on some mascara, and I'll be right back. For highlighter, I'm gonna go into this Tarte Skin Twinkle Volume 2 palette, and I think I'm gonna take this shade right here called Skylight. Ooh, that looks pigmented. Let me be a bit careful. A little on my nose. For lips, I'm just gonna go into this Buxom lip gloss in the shade Deborah. So this is the finished look. I really, really love how it turned out. I feel like it's such a fun combination of colors, and it's a little bit something different than what I normally do, especially with the placement. So I hope you enjoyed it too. Now let's go ahead and jump on into the final look. All right, y'all, I'm so annoyed with myself because I forgot to turn my mic on, but luckily I'm not that far into this look. I've literally only done one shade on this eye, so I'm just gonna kind of pick up here and let you know what I did so far. So today we are going into the Oceanic palette, and I started off with this shade right here called Bali all the way through my crease, just using a big fluffy brush. And then next, right now, I'm going into the shade Fiji, which is just like a really beautiful kind of bluey teal kind of shade, and just putting that a little bit lower down in my crease and then blending it upwards. I feel like these two look so pretty together, and I want them to be blended but also like have their own moment at the same time. I'm wanting to do a little bit more of a monochromatic blue look today. I don't know that I'm going to reach into the green shades in this palette just because I haven't done anything super blue in a long time, so I thought it'd be just a little something different. But I mean, this teal is already adding like just a little touch of something that's making me happy. So I'm sorry about the beginning, but hopefully that's not too far in. 2 shades. Could have been a lot worse if I hadn't realized. Next, I'm gonna go into this shade right here called Blue Clam. Just picking that up on a fluffy blending brush, but something a little bit more precise, not too big. And I'm gonna pop that in my outer V. And then just lightly blend it out. So I'm feeling like, because I have played with the Oceanic palette just a few times, I borrowed it from a friend. This is the first palette that I'm not seeing that much of a difference with the mattes. Like I feel like the pigmentation is very similar to the older formula I saw so much more of a difference with the Passion collection, the Paradise collection. I can't remember what it was called. It did blend really easily. Now I'm gonna go in with a bit more of a like really small kind of fluffy pencil brush, and I'm gonna go into the deepest blue in the palette, this shade right here called Lagoon, and just packing that right onto my outer V. And then just going with my previous brush and blending right over the top of that. I feel like that looks super, super pretty. So I have a plan for the lower lash line. I'm gonna start off with that deepest blue shade Lagoon, and I'm just going to line that as close to my lashes as possible. All right, I'm going back into the teal Fiji on my pencil brush and just going to use that to blend out Lagoon. I just thought that would add a little extra fun pop. I just really like the shade Fiji. Now for the inner corner, I'm gonna go ahead and take the lightest blue Bora Bora. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that on right here. I'm just bringing that onto like the inner third of the lid just because I really like this color. Next, I'm gonna try and fit Marina and Bay because they're both just super pretty. So I'm gonna start off with Marina and just pop that on the center of the lid. That one is like a little bit more of like a blue base teal metallic. I feel like it really goes along with the vibe and with Fiji. And then Bay is just like a pretty true blue metallic, and we're gonna pop that on the rest of the lid. I'm gonna finish up with the Linda Hallberg Cool Mood pencil just for even more blue, throw on some mascara, and I'll be right back. I already have highlighter on. I'm wearing the same exact shade from the Tarte palette, and then for lips, I went ahead and picked out the It's Belle Cosmetics Lolly Gloss in the shade Mocha Pop. I feel like this is just such a pretty shade to go with this kind of like blues and purples, like something about this brown. And not that I'm wearing purples right now, but if I was wearing blues or purples, this brown would go. So this is the final look finish. It's not necessarily anything super unique because I've definitely done this same type of look with a lot of different palettes that have blue options, but still I like how it turned out. I think that it looks pretty. I really like the Bora Bora shade on the inner corner, but let's go ahead and talk about my full thoughts on the Ace Beauté reformulation. Honestly, I would say that overall, after having tested every single palette, my thoughts are very similar to what they were in my first impression of just testing the old versus the new, whereas I just feel like if you do not own these palettes already, I think that these are a great buy. I think that they are a really nice formula overall. The mattes seem to be super pigmented. They blend really easily. I didn't have any issues at all with the mattes, which means a lot to me. The shimmers are a nice metallic formula. They do apply pretty easily. They're not like the most intense metallics out there. There's definitely better formulas from other brands in my humble opinion because I just like a really reflective metallic, but they're still beautiful. They still get the job done. I think that they are a nice option and I'm not mad at them for being in the palette. Like I would still reach for them in the palette compared to other brands like Menagerie, for example. Like their metallics I don't really love a lot of times, especially their older metallics like the Killer Purr palette. I never reach for the metallics in those palettes because I don't love the formula, but this is like, it's not my favorite formula, but I would still use them kind of thing. As far as if you already own these palettes, I would say that, you know, unless you had an issue with them, I wouldn't feel any pressure to go repurchase them. They're still the same exact color story. The metallics are not that much of an improvement. Like they're a little bit better, but not enough to pay for a palette again. And then the mattes is where I see most of the change. But if you didn't have an issue already, I would not buy the new ones. And then of course, if you were someone who owned any of these and there was a color story you really, really loved, but the formula just didn't work out for you and you really wanted that color story, then maybe it would be worth it to repurchase and have a better formula. I think it really just depends on you and your personal preference, and if that's money that you're willing to spend. I mean, I can give you my opinion to the best of my ability, but that's up to you, obviously. The only one I just didn't see that much of a difference for is definitely the Oceanic palette. It still worked really great, but the Oceanic palette was like the old formula was already a different formulation than their oldest palettes. So that I'm guessing was like a little bit of improvement, and then this is like a step up from improvement from there. I just feel like if you have Oceanic, the new one's probably not worth it. But I do have a friend who recently purchased the Oceanic palette, and I'm gonna send her this to see how different they really are, just out of curiosity, like a very new palette that's the old formula versus a very new palette. It's a new formula. I'm just very intrigued. So whenever she does that comparison, I'll let you guys know and I'll share it. I am very, very happy with the new formulas of all of these palettes, and I can see them being palettes I will reach for now and be inspired by and continue to use. I kind of kept the old ones just for comparison because the color stories were so unique, but I rarely ever used them just because I have so many palettes. Why would I want to reach for something that's hard to work with? So I really am happy that they reformulated it, and overall I'm a fan, and I could see myself picking up whatever palettes Ace Beauté comes out with in the future if they're a color story that I like, which is definitely something to keep in mind. If you tried their old palettes, you did not love the formula, you don't want to repurchase them to have the new formula, completely understandable, might feel like a waste of money. It could still just be a sign that if they come out with something new in the future, I do think the formula is better and you'll probably have more luck if you had some of the same issues that I used to have. So that's my final thoughts. Very happy with the reformulation. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed all the looks, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.